We could even sound like this. The opinions expressed on this show do not represent those of the station. If you've missed any of the shows, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Swing by Just Jack's Restaurant and treat yourself to our Irish Delights lunch buffet.
People, events, and news of BC's Peace Region. Here's your hosts, Dub Craig and Steve Berard.
Welcome to This Week in the Peace. Later in the show, I'll be chatting with the Minister of Forests about this year's wildfire season and the long-term impacts all these fires are having on the Northeast.
Yes, but first, the Fort St. John International Air Show returns August 2nd and 3rd after a 3-year hiatus. To talk a bit about that return and what you can expect from the 2-day aviation extravaganza, I'm joined now by the producer and vice chair of the show, Sandi Miller. Sandi, welcome to This Week in the Peace.
Good morning, Deb.
Thanks for being here. I want to go back to last year, first of all, because of course, this show returned in 2022, if I remember right, after a 5-year hiatus. I mean, COVID threw a wrench into everything, and you were hoping to kind of get back on the 2-year cycle of producing this show. 2024 comes. You had talked to, there had been some announcements made about the, I'm going to mess up the name, but the Hornet coming and all this kind of stuff.
The F-18, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And then sadly, I think it was in February, the decision was made, we're not going to be able to do this year. Can you tell us a bit about what happened and why you decided to cancel last year and now postpone it, I suppose, till this year?
That was a very, very tough decision for our board.
Yeah.
So yes, there's been a lot of changeover in who's been running the show and on the board and the committee. And as you can imagine, an event this size takes a lot of manpower. Mm-hmm. And I do mean a lot of manpower. And the fact that it's run entirely by volunteers puts a lot of pressure on those people involved. So last year we found it was, I think, January when we made the decision that we weren't as far ahead in the planning as we would like to be. And the organization, and we just didn't have enough people stepping up. Mm-hmm. So this is where I really encourage everybody, if there's an event in town, if there's something going on that you love and want to have continue, see how you can be involved and how you can support it, because it really does take a lot of work and a lot of energy for those people who are there, and they really do need the help in order to make these things happen.
Absolutely. And I just want to double check with you on this one, because I think as well, if I remember right, part of another sort of side reason as well was there was some concern about how the wildfire season might affect the air show as well. In terms of even this year coming up, and you're like, okay, we're getting ready for that. Tell me a bit about that conversation happening again, looking at the drought condition, what that looks like, and making a decision on whether we want to try and pull this off. And pray, I suppose, that it won't be a smoky or cloudy weekend where we have to ground all the planes.
Yeah. Fortunately, around here, most of the wildfires do tend to hit earlier in the season. So It's that April-May season where we do tend to see a bit more. Part of the planning process for us is making sure that, the wildfire base here, that they do have access. They have priority if they need to get in and out or something happens. We shut down our show, we do whatever we need to do to accommodate them. So we do have very intense conversations with them to make sure that we are making sure that they can do what they need to do. And we just keep an eye on everything. I mean, with a show like this, you've just got to be very conscious of what is happening around us. The drought conditions is one reason why, for me personally as a producer, I have said no to pyrotechnics. I am not going to play that game. I am not going to have that gamble.
Yeah.
It's not worth the hassle and the time and energy to take that risk in drought conditions.
I see. Okay. Well, I mean, then let's look at the good news. I mean, it's coming back this year. It's going to be an incredible show. You've got an excellent lineup of performers. Let's dig into the details. When you buy a ticket for this year's show, what are you going to get to see?
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, the first moment on Saturday night when those snowbirds come flying straight overhead, the shivers go up your spine. We are very fortunate to be welcoming them back this year with the full team, which is going to be very exciting. They will be, they've got some new moves and saw an interview and have talked to them a bit, and they've got a couple of new maneuvers in there, which are always going to be interesting to see.
Excellent.
We've got Yellow Thunder coming back with their Harvards, their signature yellow Harvard planes, and actually, if you are a big fan of that one, you can book a ride directly with those guys to go up for
exciting.
Go up with them. You can find that information on our website as well. And then we've got Ericsson Collection is coming back. I love Ericsson Collection because they have such a wide variety of planes that they can bring up. So this year they're bringing the P-51 Mustang, and they are bringing the Corsair. So two very classic warbirds. And I will give you a little hint. There's something special cooking between Yellow Thunder and Ericsson this year that you definitely want to check out, which I'm very excited about. And then we have Kyle Fowler with his plane Go Easy, which he describes basically it's like a backwards plane.
Yeah.
It's really fun when you look at this thing. It's quite an interesting plane that he's built. And Kyle actually grew up in the airshow industry. His dad was a performer for years. So Kyle has performed here before. It's been a number of years since he's been here. So it's fun to welcome him back. We do have the Skyhawks parachute team coming back. And then this year, we're also pleased to bring in Undaunted, which is a dual ship team coming from Seattle area. Todd and Steven. Very, very fun. We saw these guys in Peace River a couple years ago. The way they fly is absolutely amazing, but this will be their first visit to Fort St. John. So they're excited to come. We're excited to have them here. And trust me, they put on a performance like you wouldn't believe.
Now, beyond just sort of seeing what the planes can do in the air, there's so much more also happening. I mean, it's really kind of like a festival atmosphere. What other things are happening kind of on the grounds while you're there, you know, between shows, or if you need a break from what's going on in front of you in the skies? What else can we see?
We've got some things lined up. It's going to be, unfortunately, we're not able to bring the B-25 back that we had last time because that was absolutely amazing. But we do have some different things lined up on the ground. The RCMP are going to have a display with bringing a 20-foot drone.
Oh, wow.
That'll be interesting
it's a big
to see.
drone.
It's going to be very interesting. And actually, I'm just in talks now. The Royal Canadian Air Force are going to have a display as well. And they mentioned having a virtual reality display.
Okay.
So that's gonna be very interesting to see what they do with that. I'm gonna have to push my way to the front of that line. As well as, you know, we always try and make sure we have something interesting to look at on the ground. And the performing planes, we try and make sure that they're close enough that you can see them. They're not gonna be close enough to touch. Obviously, we discourage touching all of the aircraft, but they will be close enough that you can get some great pictures with them.
Very cool. Are there going to be any planes that like you'd be able to climb into and maybe sit in the cockpit? Anything like that that's kind of safe for your kids to be in? Yeah,
Northern Lights College is actually bringing their display helicopter back, which I know was a huge draw last time. So that will be there, and they'll have a great display for that as well.
Mm-hmm. And then, food, drinks, that kind of stuff. You've got concessions available on site.
We do have concessions available for both Saturday and Sunday. I know one of our favorites is always the meat doctor. I know everybody knows Marsha and her team. So definitely you can come out. There's going to be a wide variety of food there available on site as well.
Awesome. All right. If someone's never gone to the air show or, they just need a reminder as it's been some time, any tips and tricks you want to say? Make sure you do this. Don't do this, for example. What do you got for that, Sandy?
Definitely leave your animals at home.
Yeah.
Do not bring your dogs, cats. Please don't bring any animals on site. The planes are loud. They tend to scare the animals. And please do not leave them in your vehicle. If we find them in a hot vehicle, we will break in. I'm sorry, but we had one last time that came very close to that situation. We don't want to have to do that. Coolers, do not bring any hard coolers on site, please.
Okay.
Your bags will be searched when you enter. Yes, by all means, like if you've got food and drinks for your snacks for your kids, that's fine. We will have concessions on site, but we understand you need to have a lot of water if it's a hot day. Umbrellas, we try and discourage a little bit just because it does block the view of people. They can get dangerous. Keep in mind when you're at the airport, anybody who's been to our airport at all, it's windy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It is always windy out there. It doesn't matter when you go, what time of day, what time of year, it is always windy. So things like umbrellas can easily fly away. No balloons, things like that. We do have to be very conscious. Garbage and airplanes are not friends. Garbage flying around is very, very dangerous for airplanes.
Yeah. And if I remember right too, you're kind of sitting out, in the elements. There's not really much shade. So definitely slather on that sunscreen.
Sunscreen is a must. Make sure you've got whatever you need for the day, whether it's, warm jackets and blankets. Let's hope not.
Yeah.
Let's hope you need lots
It is Fort St. John, so you got to be prepared.
lots of water and sunscreen is what I'm hoping for the weekend.
Absolutely. Okay. Tickets. Where can people get tickets now, and will there be tickets available days of?
Tickets are available currently on our website, fsjairshow.com. I do highly recommend you buy them in advance.
Yeah.
They are going to be available at the gate, but you are going to pay more at the gate. Mm-hmm. So, and the gate will be cash only. So if you're coming last minute, please make sure you have lots of cash. Actually, all around, bring cash. There's going to be a souvenir tent. We're going to have some Snowbird souvenirs this year, which will be fantastic, but make sure you have cash for that, cash for our vendors. Cash is going to be king. We will have an ATM on site, but you never know how long that goes. Parking at the airport is going to be $20 for the day. Again, cash only.
Yeah.
North Peace Search and Rescue, it takes benefit of that.
Okay.
We split the proceeds with them to help continue the amazing programs that they do.
All right, Sandy. So again, the days 2nd and 3rd for the Fort St. John International Air Show at the North Peace Regional Airport. You can get your tickets online at the website. You got the web address there, Sandy?
It's fsjairshow.com. And one more quick note, Doug, is that we are currently running a raffle.
Oh, yes, you are. Yeah.
We are running a raffle right now. Tickets are available at Bold Promotions. And there's going to be a couple of chances over this weekend to pick some up. So one of my board members is out at the Energetic County Fair at the Hitching Post concession, and she's got tickets with her. And I will be at Canadian Tire on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Tickets are $50. Now, here's the great part. First prize is a chance to go up in the P-51 Mustang.
Oh, my goodness. That'd be
I don't know who. I have been begging these guys for years. I've known them for 6 years. I've been begging them every single time I see them to go up in this thing. It's absolutely an amazing aircraft. So first prize is a ride in the P-51 Mustang. Second prize is a ride in the Harvard with Yellow Thunder. So tickets are $50. Again, cash only, please. So you can come to Bold Promotions during the week, and this weekend at the Energetic County Fair and at Canadian Tire on Sunday. The draw will be next Friday, July 25th at 3 p.m.
Okay. And, of course, you can find out more at the website. The address one more time, Sandy?
It is fsjairshow.com.
Awesome. Well, Sandy, thank you so much for stopping by today, and I hope everything goes well for you at the air show.
I'm sure it'll be an amazing weekend.
Excellent. Well, that was Sandi Miller here on Moose FM, the producer of the Fort St. John Air Show. We'll be right back to hear Steve's conversation with BC Minister of Forest Ravi Parmar on This Week in the Peace.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at Ritchie Brothers' next Grand Prairie Unreserved Auction on July 24th and 25th. Choose from close to 1,400 items, including a wide selection of farming equipment, motor graders, wheel loaders, and much more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Grand Prairie Unreserved Auction on July 24th and 25th. Register for free and get ready to bid online. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
Join us for our third movie in the park of the summer today, featuring the out-of-this-world adventure Muppets from Space.
I built this new jacuzzi for my alien family, so please no eating in the spa.
Bring your lawn chair, grab some free popcorn, and settle in for a night of laughter, weirdness, and Muppet mayhem. We'll once again be at Centennial Park with the movies starting at 7 o'clock. It's family fun, it's totally free, and Enbridge will be providing the free popcorn. Movies in the Park is brought to you by the Fort St. John Co-op and Butler Farm Equipment, with support from Marie GM, Enbridge, Burger King, R360 Environmental, and CN Rail.
Sunday, July 20th. Just a random summer day, right? Not at DQ, it isn't. Sunday, July 20th is National Ice Cream Day, and Dairy Queen is celebrating in a huge way. Stop in and buy an Oreo Blizzard cake on July 20th and receive a free Blizzard of your choice every week for the rest of the year. Now that's how you celebrate National Ice Cream Day. Buy an Oreo Blizzard cake, get a free weekly Blizzard until the end of 2025. Only on Sunday, July 20th, and only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Heard of Ace Instruments? You should. We've been serving the Peace for over 35 years. From electrical, instrumentation, and oil field repair to fabrication, valves, and parts, we don't just do it all. We do it fast. With 3 locations and a power division driving solar, fuel cell, and remote systems, we're built for today's field and tomorrow's demands. Need real solutions and service that answers? Choose ACE. Visit ace95.com or stop by today.
Find all your Bible journaling tools at Peaceful Pages. Stop in today and see their selection of Bible tabs, Bible safe pens, markers, and more. Plus, Bibles, devotionals, and faith-based books. Peaceful Pages Christian Bookstore, a peaceful place to escape. Open Tuesday to Saturday on 101 Avenue, Fort St. John.
Moose Country weather.
Cloudy today with a 60% chance of showers and risk of a thunderstorm starting this morning later on. We'll get to a high of 20. This evening, cloudy with a 60% chance of showers. That continues till after midnight when things clear up again. We'll see a low of 13. Tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud, 30% chance of showers in the afternoon and risk of a thunderstorm. We'll see a high of 26. And cloudy Sunday with a 70% chance of showers and a high of 23.
You can watch this show live on Facebook, catch the replays at energeticcity.ca, or be part of the show by texting your thoughts to the Fort City Chrysler line at 250-787-2222.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Steve. This year's wildfire season is on pace to be one of the worst in the history of the province, according to our Minister of Forests, Ravi Parmar. He paid a visit to the Northeast last week, and I sat down to chat with him about the fire season, its impacts on the local economy, everything he's learned during his visit to the Peace region, and the Fire Smart campaign. Here's that conversation. First of all, Minister Parmar, thank you so much for making some time today to come on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Happy to. Thanks very much for the invitation. It's my first time in the Northeast. I'm in beautiful Dawson, Greek right now. It is very, very windy, but it's sunny, so no complaints here.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. We're talking today about a lot of stuff, but I want to start with your trip to the Northeast. For people who maybe aren't familiar with you, haven't been keeping up with it, can you tell me a bit about sort of where you've been so far, where you're going, and why you decided to go on this trip?
Yeah, you bet. I took on the role of Minister of Forests a number of months ago. I sat across from the Premier and said that I wanted to take on this important responsibility because I wanted to help restore confidence in the forest sector. I wanted to stand up for workers and families and forest-dependent communities each and every day in the decisions that I make as minister. And of course, I want to honor the commitments that we've made to the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and through reconciliation as well, and so many other things. It's been an absolute whirlwind experience. I'm a kid from Langford who has not spent much time in different parts of British Columbia, and so it's been a true honor and privilege to not only explore the beauty that is the province of British Columbia, but also meet incredible people. And that's what this experience in the Northeast has been about. My first time in the Northeast, getting a chance to be able to start in Fort Nelson, getting a chance to meet with the mayor, the local chief of the First Nations, Fort Nelson First Nations. One of the things that led me here to Fort Nelson is this is the engine in so many ways of British Columbia. I think when I'm back home in Langford on Vancouver Island, I'm often talking to my constituents and to people in the South Island and the Lower Mainland about the importance of good quality services, about infrastructure. And I think we often forget that much of that money to be able to pay for that infrastructure and services comes from the hardworking people here in Peace Country, as well as in the Liard as well. And so, it's being on the ground and thanking, hardworking people in forestry, oil and gas, for the work they do day in and day out. These are hard jobs. These are good paying jobs. But I recognize that we face big challenges with global shifts. We've seen mill closures over the last number of years. And as well, we've seen fires. We are in the midst of the 2025 wildfire season, building off of 2024, where the town of Fort Nelson had to evacuate, building off of 2023, where we had the worst wildfire season on record. Already in 2025, we have seen over 700,000 hectares burned just within the Prince George Fire Center alone. Much of that, as you will know, is surrounding Fort St. John and Fort Nelson and so many other communities as well. And we expect just in the Prince George Fire Center alone, which is a very large geographic area, as I like to remind folks, the size of some countries when you think about it from a land-based perspective. We are expecting that we're going to lose about 30% of that land base to fires by the end of 2025. So it's really important for me to be on the ground to listen and learn from the people here, from local government leaders, from First Nations, from industry. But also, I wanted to take an opportunity to be on the ground and thank the hardest working wildland firefighters you could have ever imagined having on our team, and getting a chance to be able to fly in the air over these destructive fires that have occurred this year, have occurred in past years, to see the smoke it's just, it's one thing to see it on a video screen back home. It's another thing to see it in person. And it was just a true honor and privilege for me to be able to thank them.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Can you tell me a bit about some of, you're talking about getting on the ground and talking with these people one-on-one, not just these hardworking people outside of, firefighting, but also the firefighters themselves. Tell me a bit about some of what you've heard from them and what people have been saying in regards to this wildfire season.
Yeah, you bet. Well, maybe just at an outset, we've received some precipitation here in the Northeast. We've received some precipitation all across British Columbia, but as you might be able to hear a little bit of it in this room. We've got some wind. We've got a cold front that we're dealing with. We have just over 70 wildfires occurring across the province. I don't believe we have any more wildfires of note at the moment. But as I've learned in my time these last few months, things, especially as it relates to wildfires, can change drastically. And I'll give you a prime example. I was checking out what people might not know in Fort St. John is the Paratac base. One of the two Paratac bases is in British Columbia, is in Fort St. John. And these incredible wildland firefighters, the smoke jumpers, as many people know them as, British Columbia is the only province in the country that has this program. And we are supporting jurisdictions all over the world outside of our wildfire seasons to help them. And we've got great people that are relocating to Fort St. John just to be a part of this program. And, the conversations I'm having on the ground with these folks is how demanding their work is and the intensity of the fires that are occurring. I was chatting with a group of wildland firefighters that have just came back from Atlan, BC, where, there's not a lot of people in Atlan, BC, in the northwest of our beautiful province. And so it makes it very challenging terrain, very difficult to fight fires, and certainly poses a lot of difficulties as well. It's no different than way up in the Northeast, particularly above Fort Nelson as well. And so it's so important that we continue to support these wildland firefighters. It's why we've made the BC Wildfire Service a year-round operation. We've got about 600 people working all year round. Not only supporting us during the wildfire season, but also doing the importance of wildfire mitigation, fire smart proofing, as well as cultural and prescribed burns, preparing us for future wildfire seasons. We've got 1,300 hardworking wildland firefighters working to support and protect communities. And what I always remind British Columbians is, even if we get a little bit of rain, things can change quickly, and it's so important that our wildland firefighters are doing their part. We have a part to play as well. And here in British Columbia, we're going to be prepared for the worst case scenario. We're going to do everything in our power to help protect communities. But there's a role the British Columbians can play as well, and that is to be informed, to be prepared. So make sure you download the BC Wildfire app. We've continued to make updates to it to be able to provide you as much transparency as it relates to fires. There's photos, there's really key information. There's different ways of looking at the map that shows, for example, where smoke is occurring in the province. That's really important information, I know, for the folks up here in the Northeast that deal with a lot of that. But also make sure you have your go bags ready. I could never imagine being in a situation where a police officer is knocking on my door telling me it's time to evacuate because of a fire. But so many people here in the Northeast and throughout British Columbia have to deal with that threat every single year. And of course, be fire smart. Please, please, please. Human-caused wildfires still pose a big problem for us. Please, if you are a smoker, don't flick your butt out the car door as you're driving along the highway. Don't be one of those people. But there's so many other things. Just be fire smart. Make sure you're fire smarting your property. It's so important. I know it's early July. We've still got a lot of days to go before the end of this fire season.
I want to talk a bit about the Fire Smart campaign, because we've spoken a bit about it with local firefighters, but we have a lot of people who maybe they're new to the area, like I only came here in the past year-ish, who aren't familiar with it. Can you give me a quick rundown of sort of what the Fire Smart program is?
Yeah, you bet. Look, I think we, as I noted in my previous answer, there's a role for our wildland firefighters. When fires occur, they're on the ground. But there are some steps that we can take, and not just in Fort St. John or Dawson Creek, where I am today. I could be doing this in Langford. I could be doing this in Victoria. I could be doing this in Vancouver, you name it. Wildfires can occur anywhere. And we all have a role to play to fire smart our communities. And so what I'm talking about is mowing your lawn, removing anything combustible next to your house, and just making sure that your property is fire smart, making sure you're removing any vegetation near your house that could catch on fire, that could lead to your house burning as well. And I got to tell you, it was quite moving to be up in the helicopter a couple of days ago, flying above Fort Nelson, and to see the structure protection units hard at work protecting, homes, protecting cabins, and being very successful. But we also know that their roles can be very difficult if people haven't done their part to protect. Checking your gutters, making sure you're removing debris. There's so many different things that people can be doing. It wasn't until I became Minister of Forests that I acknowledged the role that I have to do back at home in fire smarting my own home. I have that conversation with my parents, my family members as well. I've become a bit of a geek when it comes to fire smarting, and I think we all should. And what's great is you can visit a website. There's tons of videos, lots of resources. Many of the local fire departments you probably had on your show can provide great information. FireSmart BC is the place to go. Lots of resources to be able to help you be fire smart and to be fire smarting your property as well.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the other things that you mentioned in a previous answer that I want to come back to is sort of the idea of fire safety going into the future and the ways that current wildfire seasons are impacting the potential future of the Northeast in BC. There was a story that came from the University of Northern British Columbia recently where experts were saying that they're actually noticing changes in the kinds of trees that are growing back after these really big wildfires that are hitting areas like up near Fort Nelson right now. Is the government looking into that at all? Is there any sort of research happening with that? Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, you bet. The BC Wildfire Service is actively working with our post-secondary institutions. Here in British Columbia, we've got a unique partnership with the University of Alberta as well to explore all of those different pieces, ensuring that when we're looking at reforestation, that there are tools and technology to be able to help support that. I would say on the earlier part of your question, when you look at how can we better detect fires, we announced earlier in this fire season that we are rolling out wildfire detection cameras all across the province. So I expect that you'll see those in the Northeast in the coming weeks and months. And it's really important that we have those because that gives us the ability to be able to detect those fires and then send our initial attack crews in to support efforts to contain that fire before it grows extensively. But I think you've touched on it. Wildfire intensity is increasing. We have to look at the different types of fiber that's out there, the different types of fuels that we're dealing with. And I think, it's really important for me, and I've had this conversation with the mayor of Fort St. John yesterday with her council. I had this as a conversation with my MLA colleagues. I met with Jordan Keeley and Larry Neufeld this morning. It's so important that we get back to the basics. And that means that we have to steward our lands and we have to be better managers of our forests and protected areas. Fires can occur anywhere. They can occur in our provincial parks. They can occur in areas that are part of our timber harvesting land base. And it's so important that we all collectively do our part. The Forest Practices Board released a report recently, just in the last few weeks, that provided some recommendations. I'm looking forward to meeting with them in the next couple of weeks to better understand those recommendations and what my ministry can do to ensure that we are better prepared in the years ahead. We know with climate change that wildfires are not going away anytime soon. And British Columbians expect our government to be on the game, making sure that we are adapting, utilizing new technology, not only to fight fires, but to be preventative as well.
Absolutely. Another thing that I was curious about is, obviously, as Minister of Forests, the ministry has a uniquely close relationship with the BC Wildfire Service. they've been putting out video updates talking about some of the unique challenges they're facing in like the Fort Nelson fire zone because of how much forested land there is. They're talking about like blowdown and stuff like that. Tell me a bit about what the communication process looks like between the ministry and the BC Wildfire Service.
Yeah, great question. Really important for me always to remind myself that I'm such an honor to be the Minister of Forests, and that includes the BC Wildfire Service. Sometimes it can feel like I'm the minister of two separate ministries just because of the size of the BC Wildfire Service. But the BC Wildfire Service is interconnected in the work of the Ministry of Forests, and it's been a real priority for us these last number of years to continue to ensure that there's transparency and that there's engagement with the members of the public. And that's something that we commend ourselves to, and I know British Columbians want to see as well. I've met so many people over the course of the last number of days that are excited about the videos that are being put out to be able to show that blowdown. Obviously scary scenes, but just that transparency is so important. It's a way for us to be able to provide British Columbians literally footage from the ground of what our wildland firefighters are going through and what we're learning through that as well. You touched on the blowdown, that was certainly moving for me, not only to see that video, but then an hour later to be up in a helicopter flying just above that blowdown. That's a big issue that we have to work to address. It goes back to the role that the regional operations forestry plays in my ministry, working with BC Wildfire Service to better address those challenges. We've been moving wildfire salvage permits in a quicker way, excited about the hardworking relationships we have with industry and in particular with First Nations to be able to ensure that we're taking advantage of the financial opportunity that there is with that salvage and getting that to our facilities that can use that. But there's so much that we can be doing to better support that. And I'm looking forward, new in my role, bringing that fresh perspective, ensuring that my ministry, the Ministry of Forests, which includes the BC Wildfire Service, is working better interconnected and again, engaging with the entire sector and engaging with British Columbians directly. That's why I encourage people. We've already had 1 million downloads. If you haven't already, join the club, download the BC Wildfire app.
Okay, awesome. We're coming up on running out of time here. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Anything else you want to add while we still have you here?
You bet. I'll just touch on this. I know that a big part of my mission up here in the Northeast has been talking about wildfires, but I also want to talk about forestry just briefly as well. Forestry is faced a lot of challenges up here in the Northeast these last couple of decades. There have been significant policy changes made by the previous government that has led to pertinency being removed, and for many communities, like Fort Nelson as an example, seeing logging trucks leave and seeing companies flee and not knowing what forestry's future is in British Columbia. I believe now more than ever, after having spent the last 3 days here, the forestry has a very bright future here in the Northeast. I'm looking forward to getting back to Victoria, talking to my team, meeting with the incredible public servants that we have up here in the Northeast on a regular basis, that we can work together with our local government partners, their MLAs, with our industry partners, First Nations communities, in a government-to-government conversation, and develop a pathway that ensures that we can create a sustainable timber harvesting land base that leads to good jobs, good paying jobs for families, good paying jobs for communities. And I think the real important for peace for me, and I hope people will appreciate, is the type of forest sector we want to build is one that's looking 100 years ahead. We can't stick with the boom and bust forest sector that we've experienced these last 100 years, where sometimes things are good and then other times things are bad. And what happens during those times is communities and people and families pay the price. We have to create consistency. We have to create stability. That's my number one priority in this job. Thanks very much for having me on your show.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on, Minister Parmar. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Take care.
Okay. That was Ravi Parmar, BC Minister of Forests. Our thanks to Sandi Miller for joining us on This Week in the Piece, and thank you for tuning in.
You can listen to the show again by checking out the podcast at energeticcity.ca/podcast. We'll be storing this in future episodes of the show there as we make them. Also, check out our other locally produced podcast, Before the Piece, as well. I'm Dub Craig.
And I'm Steve Berard. Be well.
Join us again next Friday morning at 10 for another edition of This Week in the Piece, your weekly talk show dedicated to the people, events, and news of BC's Peace Region. Or you can listen to this podcast again